better in style. I should think about pride. I do. Things get better with time. Yet souls never undying. It's a haiku. These thoughts never can die. These tears never gonna dry when I lose you. Some hearts double inside.
What a beautiful introduction we had there. I love that intro. My man Swam coming in hot with the damn baby. Hey, he's got his album dropping tomorrow, so definitely check that out because that is going to be spicy and great. It's going to be fantastic. Definitely an up and coming artist, probably an artist that I see taking over the music industry probably in the next 8 to 12 months. So, long enough to have a kid, but not long enough to have two kids is going to be the next time you'll see this guy. He's going to be definitely climbing the ranks because he does bring some heat with his music. Great lyrics. I've gotten a taste. I've seen a little bit behind the mindset of Swam, and I don't want to put too much pressure on the guy, but he may be a musical genius. And I tell you what, the acting chops in his music video is pretty darn good too. Sometimes you get lost more in the acting than the music, so it's like when you have that combination, you know it's going to be good. But guys, it's Thursday. We're almost to the end of the week. You know, we probably accomplished a lot earlier in the week, which is fantastic. I'm proud of each and every one of you for getting the stuff that you needed to get to done. That way you could take Thursday and Friday and just kind of take it easy, maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe you're rearing up to really finish out this fantastic week that we've been having together. Guys, I noticed you noticed here that Nick is not with me, but that's okay. Hey, the show goes on. He's busy. He's probably flying all across the United States somewhere. But I'll leave that up to your imagination. But we do have a very good show today. We have an excellent show. And the beautiful thing about this show is it is very quarterback centric. So, that being said, I just want to make sure that the audio is coming through clear because I know we've had a couple issues with the audio. I know we have a couple issues with the Skype from time to time. So let me just double check here, just so we know we're bringing you some heat, because the last thing I want to do is not be bringing the heat. So let me just check this here. Probably beautiful. Okay, so the audio is working good. Guys, a very quarterback-centric episode today. I think we're only talking about quarterbacks, and I know what you want to know. Are we talking about Aaron Rodgers? We're not talking about Aaron Rodgers today, except for that little portion, okay? But what we are talking about is Andy Dalton will start over Justin Fields, according to Matt Nagy. And to be honest, I think this is probably a really smart move on Matt Nagy's part. And hearing him, I think he was on the Chris Collinsworth podcast, and hearing him the go through what his plan essentially. It was actually pretty good to see. And as a Bears fan, if you are, you got to be pretty pumped to kind of hear what he had said in that podcast about Andy Dalton's going to be our guy. We thought the 5 quarterbacks that won the first 15 picks, were all guys that could be guys, essentially, is what he said. And now with that, they all could be franchise quarterbacks, but the statistics, the facts of the matter is, most of those guys probably won't go on to be franchise quarterbacks. So he did want to kind of bring Justin Fields along slowly. Now, do I think Justin Fields will start at some point this season? For sure. Absolutely. As a cheesehead over here in cheese mode, I'm not thrilled about that because I think, the Packers have better opportunity playing Andrew Dalton than they do Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields brings a little more dynamic. I think really he probably fits that Chicago culture a little better than Andy Dalton. But not a knock on Andy Dalton. He's been in the league 9-10 years. Very solid. Has gotten the job done. And it'll be interesting to see what he does with the Chicago Bears. But to have Matt Nagy come out and say that, that's probably good for not just Andy Dalton, but the Bears organization as a whole. But I will say it does not feel like Andy Dalton is the starter. I will say Matt Nagy, if he is coming out and making this statement publicly, I think he needs to have an internal conversation with the Bears organization saying like, hey, let's not pump so much Justin Fields stuff out there. Like, yeah, he's a guy, He's probably our future as well. But as of right now, I think you kind of got to slow it down a little bit. Maybe produce a little more Andy Dalton content, to really help Chicago understand, like, yeah, he's going to be the starter. Show some highlights of Andy Dalton out there just slinging the rock. That's going to get Bears fans excited. Okay, they they are going to be excited about that. Excuse me. Let me just take a drink here. I don't have the banter to go back and forth with Nick when I'm solo dolo. So sometimes you're just going to have to get a little ASMR, and delicious. But yeah, Andy Dalton, he's looking to be the guy in Chicago, and I think he will have some success there. I just worry that those Bears fans are going to run him out of town before they give him a real shot. Um, kind of I wouldn't say kind of like they did Mitchell Trubisky, because they did do that, but also he also didn't live up to his end of the bargain. So we'll see if Mitchell Trubisky maybe gets an opportunity in Buffalo and see what he can do there. I mean, I think he could potentially be a guy that turns it around with a new sense of scenery, kind of like a Ryan Tannehill. But yeah, it's tough to have a guy come in and start week 1. I think Justin Fields probably could do it, if anyone could, out of this last draft class. I mean, Trevor Lawrence obviously, but I do think Justin Fields would be able to do that. And when they make that switch to him, I think that team it does get a little better. But as Andy Dalton, you got to be pretty excited about that. And yeah, that's kind of what we got with the Bears. With the Bears, good old Matt Nagy coming out and talking. And I will say this, it was actually a very interesting podcast to listen to, because I got to see a side of Matt Nagy that I haven't seen before, where he was a little more talkative, and it's not his typical press conference type of conversation. But yeah, I will say that. Speaking of young quarterbacks in the NFL, Kyler Murray came out and got a pretty big reaction from everyone around the league. Pretty much came out and says, yeah, he's never liked the Cowboys because they were always ass, as far as he knows. And he was more of a Vikings fan. And I heard someone say that, oh, the Vikings were less ass than the Cowboys. And if you look back at it, yes, the Vikings over the past 20 years, 25 years, have been less ass than the Cowboys, if you're looking at statistics and where they reached in the playoffs and things like that. So I think a lot of people became Kyler Murray fans just because of their distaste for the Cowboys, and to see him come out and say, like, oh yeah, no, they were ass. They've always been ass. And yeah, I don't like them. Don't really care for them. I like the Vikings. That's who I liked, if you want to know. And yeah, I think Kyler Murray has just gained a lot of people's respect by coming out and saying that. And especially, like, maybe Kyler Murray just knew his kind of audience and was like, yeah, the Cowboys they are trash. And he knew that would play into a lot of people being, coming around and being fans of Kyler Murray. That is a possibility there. But very interesting to see him come out and talk about the Cowboys like that. I wonder if the Cowboys play the Cardinals this year, because I think that would be an electric game, because this is going to get brought back up before that game would go. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. But speaking of another young quarterback in the NFL, we got a young Baker Mayfield who people are coming out asking him about a contract extension. I believe he's still on his rookie deal. And, Baker Mayfield, this guy is cool as the other side of the pillow, pretty much said it will handle him. It will handle itself. And I think Baker Mayfield only takes a stance like this because he knows a couple things. He knows, one, he's going to play so well that he's not going to have to worry about, proving that he's worth a contract extension. Like, he knows that's going to get taken care of. And plus, I'm sure his representation is working on that, so he doesn't have to worry about it. So it will handle itself in a way that he does not personally have to handle it. But he knows that team is so stacked. He is the right man for that team, talking about the Cleveland Browns. And he is someone who has really kind of become entrenched in Cleveland, because you see the commercials, I don't know, what is it, the Visa, the credit card commercial. I think it's credit card. The credit card commercial about, where he's in the stands and he's acting like it's his house and everything like that. Hey, I'm all for Baker staying in Cleveland, because I think that's only going to propel that team. And I do think a contract extension between Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns is going to come to fruition for him. So, like I said, he doesn't have much to worry about when it comes to that extension because it is something that probably will be coming for him. And I think he is very confident in his skills and ability and where he's at in the league now to be like to have the confidence to know that that contract extension will be coming because the dude just balls out. He and he does kind of have that swagger, that confidence about him. So it's he doesn't really have to worry. But on the other hand, you do have guys in the league that are a little less maybe sure of themselves, and that would be with the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr. And he said if the team traded him, he would probably quit. Now, I think that's more. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like it. I don't like that. That's Derek Carr. I almost said David Carr. I don't like that. That's Derek Carr's mentality, and he probably has a good reason for coming out and say that. He probably got a little wind that he might be on the trading block for the Las Vegas Raiders, and he's pulling a good old Rob Gronkowski and says, "No, I would quit if you traded me off this team." I mean that we saw it work for Gronk when he was getting traded to the Lions. He said, "Oh, you can't trade me. I quit. No, I quit. I retire. I'm retired. You can't trade me." I think you might be seeing something very similar with Derek Carr because I think he does like the Las Vegas Raiders. He loves that team. I think he does not want to be anywhere else, and he wants to be a part of like the building that's going on with John Gruden and everything there and the restructuring. And I'm sure he does want to take that team to the next level. So I understand him coming out and saying he probably will quit if the team traded him. I think that's more of a leverage play for Derek Carr than it is an actuality of him quitting if he was traded. I think he's just trying to stay with the Las Vegas Raiders because to me that shows he is how do you say this? He is excited for the future with the Raiders. He sees some things coming together that probably wasn't there in years past, which means maybe John Gruden's plan is coming together over his 10-year contract, which was a massive deal. But we'll see how that plays out because yeah, Derek Carr, his toughness has been questioned before, things like that. Is this a moment where Derek Carr's just being weak, being like, oh, if I got traded, I would quit? I mean, he's been in the league 7, 8 years now, so he's had some 7, 6, 7, somewhere around there. He's had some longevity in the league, but maybe if he did get traded, he didn't want to have to kind of start everything all over. That's a possibility, and I think sometimes when we're looking at these athletes and what they come out and say, sometimes they get a raw deal because you don't really know what's going on inside the head of a Derek Carr or an Aaron Rodgers, you know. And so sometimes their priorities may be somewhere else. Like this is my team, this is the team I want to be with, and you don't know fully what they're thinking. You'll have guys like Jay Glazer come out and say like, yeah, this guy definitely he's still out, he still doesn't want to be there because yeah, that does fit his narrative of the story that he broke earlier on in the offseason. So you do have to take that into account. Like, what are the narratives that these guys are pushing, and does this fit his narrative or does it not? And this we first heard about this from Fox Sports, so take that with a grain of salt because as we've seen, they've put out some wild headlines over the last 2 weeks. But I think this is a good flex on Derek Carr saying he would probably quit if the team traded him, and yeah, I it will ensure he is a Raider. Now, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing for Derek Carr, but I'm going to say right now it is a good thing for him. But moving a little south from maybe is it just west? I don't know. I'm not a geographist. Yeah, geography's not super my jam. But moving over to the Los Angeles Chargers, Drew Brees was at it was at mini camp. He showed up for mini camp. Drew Brees showed up for the Chargers mini camp. A lot of people can't believe it, but he was there. And people forget Drew Brees, he started his career in San Diego when they were in San Diego. But now showing up to the Chargers mini camp, what's going on there? Potentially, is he getting ready to sign a deal, come out of retirement, go play for his old team, maybe be a backup to Justin Herbert? No, not the case. What is the case is Drew Brees came, attended mini camp, and just kind of watched and observed and was asked about Justin Herbert after attending. And he had nothing but high praises for Justin Herbert. Drew Brees, and coming from a guy like Drew Brees, that's like that's saying a lot. It's not just some analyst, it's not some reporter that's never done it before. Drew Brees is a guy who's done it. So I feel like very confident in the fact that he can identify certain attributes in a player like Justin Herbert that he knows is going to help lead him to his success. Because Justin Herbert, according to Drew Brees, has a lot of the intangibles. Can throw that ball, can move, has good leadership with the group that's around him. And I think you did see that last year when he was thrown into a game after a medical procedure gone wrong for another player. But you could see him kind of be like, okay, we're here. This is the opportunity. It came a little quicker than we thought, but he took full advantage of that. And that only comes from a guy that he's mentally ready and he's been waiting for his opportunity. And it didn't take very long for him to get his opportunity. But according to Drew Brees, he thinks Justin Herbert, for as good as he was last year, is going to make tons of strides this year to become that guy. And if you're a Chargers fan, I think that might be the LA team to watch this year. I expect their stadium to be jam packed, but I don't know. Where is Los Angeles Chargers Stadium at? That's something I got to figure out because I'm gonna be honest, I don't know the answer to that. And are they playing at SoFi Stadium with the Rams? Are they sharing that stadium? That's something I'll have to look into and get back to you. But I will say this: if they are playing at SoFi Stadium, they need to make sure they get that traffic report taken care of because obviously, as we heard earlier in the week, or maybe towards the end of last week, the Rams had an open practice for people to come watch, 30,000 fan capacity, and it was less than exciting due to the traffic. So just something for the Los Angeles Chargers to take a look at in when they're getting ready for Week 1 with Justin Herbert. I wonder if Drew Brees had any trouble getting to minicamp when he was going to watch Justin Herbert. But I think I got you guys. I think I got you guys when I was like, oh, Drew Brees, he showed up to minicamp for the Chargers. But no, he was just watching, observing. And I think a lot of people do forget that because he had such a long tenure with the Saints, that Drew Brees, he did ball out with the Chargers for a while there. And yeah, exciting. And I think if you're Justin Herbert and you're hearing a guy like Drew Brees talk about you, the way Drew Brees was talking about him, you got to be very excited. And that's going to add an extra level of confidence to your game heading into this season. So, the Los Angeles Chargers, they're going to be a team to watch out for. Strong, powered receiving core. I don't know if old Antonio Gates is still there, but I would not be surprised because it doesn't seem like that guy's ever leaving the league. But Justin Herbert, he's going to have some firepower this year, and we're going to see what he can do on the field and off the field, too, for that matter. Let's see. Is he going to be a leader in the community, that type of thing? We'll have to wait and see. But, guys, Thursday. You got to love Thursdays. I don't know why you got to love them. You just got to love them. But that is all we have for you today. I believe Nick will be back. He might not be back tomorrow. And I will say this. Next week, we are going to be moving to 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2:30 Eastern Time. And whatever the Mountain Time is and that California time is, we don't care. But adjust accordingly. It's an hour, 2 hours difference, depending on where you live. But next week, we will be going to 1:30. And also, guys, check out the newsletter. Nick is killing it with the newsletter. We're posting it on LinkedIn. It's all over the place. You can sign up in the link below. Definitely check that out. But it's been another fantastic day. Hey, I'm glad to bring you guys some news. Hopefully you guys get some value, entertainment out of this because I love doing it. I know Nick loves doing it too. We're going to take this thing to the moon. You guys don't even realize yet, but we do. We understand, and it's going to be fantastic. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow, same time, you jabronis. And I'm sure if Nick was here, he'd be like, adios.